Hi folks, so let's do some channel stuff first. Subscribers are up a modest 19 this week to 2274. Welcome to any new subscribers, much appreciated. Welcome to the channel. During the week there were 3 videos. On Sunday I ran through the top 10 science fiction books published in 2024. The top 10 according to a poll of Goodreads users anyway. And of the 10, I was interested to find that I've read one and that there are 2 others that piqued my interest to the point where I might actually buy the books. The other ones, not so much. On Tuesday I took a look at 2 quite different Catastrophe books, both set in England, comparing and contrasting and giving my somewhat inexpert opinion on both. I enjoyed doing it. I think I'll look for other opportunities to kill 2 birds with 1 stone like that, a double review, comparing and contrasting books within a similar sort of subgenre, if you like. On Thursday I had a fun look at The Jaunt. It's one of my favourite Stephen King short stories. That story is stuck in my head for nearly 40 years and it was great fun to take a closer look at it. But so far it's doing pretty badly on the view front. I guess not many other people were terribly interested in The Jaunt. It's only very lightly science fiction and it's certainly horror tinged, so perhaps that doesn't appeal to too many people. We'll see. It was fun to do. I think I'm going to continue the notion of doing a short story deep dive from time to time, but I'll stick to the science fiction knitting from now on, perhaps. Comment of the week, no question, was from Steve Andrews, also of this here BookTube parish. Outlaw Bookseller is his channel. He took the time to write a rather lengthy comment on my Catastrophe video from Tuesday, giving chapter and verse on Fugue, in particular on Fugue for a Darkening Island, going into much greater depth and with greater insight than I did in my ham-fisted overview. I can't show it on screen here, it's too long. If you haven't watched that video, then Steve's very interesting and informative comment on its own would be a very good reason to do so. So head over once you finish watching this and give it a watch. Certainly you can scroll through the comments and find his comments there. What have I been reading this week? I started the month well. I came out of the gate strong. I've read 8 or 9 books up to this point, but things have slowed down a little bit. That said, I have now finished The Centaur Device by M. John Harrison, but it did take me longer than I expected for such a slender book. Most of the week, in fact. And that was partly due to lack of opportunity to read, but also due to what I found to be rather chewy prose. In a good way, but that I kept tripping over. I think this says much more about me and my unfortunate habit of straying into skim reading at times than it does about Harrison's prose, which I think is probably excellent. It's not a book that you can pay half attention to. It rewards close reading, I think. So it's chewy, yes, but very tasty. I enjoyed it. So John Truck is a rather unusual protagonist. He's a space lorry driver, really, with a bit of smuggling on the side, Han Solo style. He spends his time in planetary truck stops, kind of seedy back streets of struggling colonies. He's the sole known surviving person with Centauri blood. The planet was laid waste in a holocaust at some point in the past. And because of his ancestry, Truck is sought by various powerful factions because he's the only one that can operate the fabled genetically keyed Centaur Device. No one knows what it can do, but the powerful want to find out, and they're not above beating, bribing, torturing and murdering to do it. Truck is pulled in all directions, losing friends and acquaintances along the way. He has very little agency, and his various efforts to escape his pursuers ultimately fail. What I thought was interesting is that through Truck's evasive actions, his refuge is in galactic backwaters. We see the underbelly of life in this universe. It's poor, it's desperate, it's dangerous, seedy, grungy and unpleasant. I might need to read Centaur Device again, I think, to get the full benefit of it. But I'll leave it for a while, just let it stew, let it digest. What have you been reading this week? Let me know down below. And then after Centaur Device, I'm a bit over halfway, more like 2/3 actually, of the way through Jack McDevitt's The Hercules Text. So far so good. A message has been detected from far away, outside our galaxy, and the scientists are making headway, translating and interpreting the rest. McDevitt's pitting the scientists of NASA against the politicians, the spies in the form of the NSA, and the church in its various forms. I wouldn't say it's a page turner as such, but I'm certainly making swifter progress through this than I did through the Centaur Device. It's not chewy in that respect. I still have Look to Winward on the go via audiobooks, although it turns out that my Spotify account, which lets me get to audiobooks these days, only allows me to get 15 hours, and it ran out on Sunday, and it only renewed yesterday. So I haven't made as much progress as I was as I'd expected with this. I've only got about 5 hours left, so I might well finish it over the weekend. I've got quite a bit of running to do. As far as book buying goes, I'm still in book buying jail. It's a rather sad and lonely place in which I imprison myself. Literary cold turkey bookanuary. I remain book sober, so I'm 19 days on the wagon. I did briefly try to convince my wife that it didn't count if she bought me a book or 5, but she wasn't having it. I flirted with danger the other day where I actually went into an Oxfam near where I work and had a browse of their shelves, but fortunately for me there weren't any books of interest there. I think I would have held my nerve if there were, but we'll never know. There are 12 days to go of my self-imposed book buying moratorium. But wait, what's this? A new book? It arrived yesterday, to my surprise, and I couldn't work out where it had come from. I was wondering if this was a case of buying books whilst drunk and disorderly, or if someone had bought me a book, which would have been very nice. But no, it turns out I ordered it myself. I pre-ordered it back in May last year, I think, or March even, and I'd just completely forgotten about it. So this arrived yesterday, so that was nice. And on the basis that I really bought it 10 months ago, although it did hit my bank account yesterday, I'm going to go with this doesn't count as far as book buying bans go. It was committed in all innocence ages ago. So this one's the third part of the what's now, I think, and will always be, the Prefect trilogy, which started with a book that was originally called The Prefect. It's been renamed to something else. I forget what it's been. My copy is called The Prefect because it's the first edition, but it's since been renamed. And the second one's Elysian Fire, and so this is the third, Machine Vendetta. And then last Sunday, in other book news, I had a visit from Dave of Tilehurst, the mystical Dave of Tilehurst, as I sometimes refer to him. So last June, Dave was kind enough to give me, bearing in mind he was a complete stranger, and no money changed hands, but pretty much his entire science fiction collection, which he'd accumulated during the 60s, 70s and 80s, I think, for the most part. It was the best part of 300 books and gave my growing library quite a boost at the time. We agreed back then that at some point over the winter he would pop over one rainy Sunday afternoon for a cup of tea and a nose around the library, and that's what he did on Sunday. We didn't arrive empty-handed. He came with a Frederick Pohl, at the World at the End of Time. So again, I didn't buy it. He gave it to me for nothing, so that doesn't count. So it's a second book added to my pile this month so far. So I think we can call that another end run around the book ban rules. I do miss buying books, I must say, so do let me know in the comments if you've bought anything yourself recently. I'd love to hear about them. It'll be like a reverse book haul. I'll get the vicarious joy of your books. Okay, let's take a little look ahead. On the channel in the coming week, if I get my act together, and there's a quite a big if there in some cases, there will be 3 videos. So with the following wind, on Sunday there will be a cheeky look at what Star Wars borrowed from classic science fiction. Back in the 70s, George Lucas was a self-confessed science fiction nerd with a penchant for Golden Era and other classic science fiction works, some of which may have influenced him as he was creating Star Wars. So and then on Tuesday, despite the book buying ban, there will be a book haul. I'll be sharing my last book buying splurge from just before Christmas, a gorging before sending myself to book buying chokey for January. That's already in the can, so that's definitely happening on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, I'm planning to take a closer look at this beauty, which is the drawings, the many doodles and sketches of Ian M. Banks related to his culture books. I'm going to have to figure out how to rig my camera and lights so that you can see it clearly. The drawings in it are quite faint, unfortunately. As for reading, I think I'll finish the 2 work in progress books, so the Hercules Text and Look to Winward, without too much bother. And I've picked out a couple of other books to tide me over. We're going to go with David Webber's Honor Harrington. It's the first book in that series, on Basilisk Station. I hear mixed reports. Some people love it and are huge fans of the whole series, and some people are a little bit dismissive of it, maybe even a bit sniffy. Writing's not good, it's a bit formulaic. I'm all up for a page turner, and I'm all up for a bit of space opera. So if I'm certainly going to give it a go, and I will be open-minded about it. And I hope I like it, because I've got several of the rest of the series to get through as well. So that's that. That's first up. And then I'm going to give Chris Beckett a try. Dark Eden, which is the first of 3 in this series. I think I've got I can't remember now if I've got the second or the third. I've got one of the others. I need to find the missing one. I've not read anything by Chris Beckett. I now have several of his books, so I'm keen to see what the fuss is about and whether it's a style that I enjoy or not. I don't know. We'll see. So that's my plans for the coming week. As always, thank you for watching. Until next time, bye for now.